This is Nate G 219 to help it back and better. Y'all know what it is. Another one coming at you. It's February 2nd. About 2:30 in the afternoon. Doesn't matter. But first, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that Cash App if y'all want to help. Like I promised, I got a part 2 coming from a story from a gentleman I had interviewed previously, Demetrius White. And after our interview, he'd gotten onto a rather big platform. Many know Chad Marks from Blood on the Razor Wire. Over there, he had 10,000 views, maybe more than that by now. But Chad's got 200,000 subscribers. Definitely check him out if you haven't seen him yet. But this is the interview for part 2 of Demetrius White, coming right at you. All right, today it's Nate G219. I'm welcoming back Demetrius White for a part 2 of our last interview. And as you guys know, Demetrius had done 25 years incarcerated for a crime he had not committed. And he served all of his time, although exoneration's being awaited. There was a few things that we were going to discuss. Demetrius, you said you were a very influential gang member when it comes to the conservative vice lords. And what did you mean by that in the prison system? How were you influential?
I'm glad that you asked that question, because it's one thing that I wanted to clarify. What I mean by that, I was a very influential member of the conservative vice lords, meaning that, I lived that lifestyle righteously. And because of that, I had a lot of influence. What I mean by having a lot of influence is that a lot of people would listen to me. From the youngsters to those who had, status or rank above me or whatever. It's just that my influence comes with working with people, building with people, being an example. Albert Einstein is quoted as saying that example is not one way to teach. It's the only way to teach. So when you live in your life by example, there is no rank or status higher than that. People will gravitate towards you when they know for a fact that you actually live what you talk about. Because people don't care, like I always say, people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. I cared for those youngsters in prison. I really loved them. I really helped them get their GEDs. I helped the men broken relationships with their fathers and mothers. We helped build bridges that they burnt. And this is people think it has to do with gangbanging. No, my influence among the members that I was with, yeah, it was camaraderie going on, but even more so, I actually cared.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I actually cared, because when I first came to prison, I had a set of OGs that took me up under their wing, and they taught me the law. They taught me my history. They taught me to mend my broken relationships that I had with different family members or whatnot. They inspired me to do that. So in the midst of them doing that, I already had it in my spirit that I would do the same thing for those youngsters up under me. So that's why I was very influential in prison.
Okay, now do you think that's because back, 20, 30 years ago, the structure of organizations were really structured compared to now what they are, and the lack of structure?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree with that totally. That's kind of why I wanted to get out of that lifestyle. It's like there's no structure whatsoever, like stealing and thievery and just no honor amongst any codes.
Well, let me say this, bro. All right. I get that contrast as opposed to how prison was structured when it came to the gang culture as opposed to what's going on now. But let me get a little bit deeper with you. let's just say that the structure when it comes to the gang life in prison is the same way back then when I first came to prison. It doesn't matter how structured it is because being a part of that organization or any organization is considered a crime.
It is.
So it don't matter how structured that culture is, it's still a crime to be a part of it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And what I'm saying is, when I lived that lifestyle, I lived that lifestyle. I was that. However, when I found out I had a daughter in prison, my daughter name is Shaira Bray. I love you, baby. But she is the number one inspiration behind me elevating. Now, when I found out I had a daughter in the early 2000s, I didn't, like I said before, I didn't immediately change, but I was aware that I needed to. So, who am I going to be more loyal to? My daughter or that particular lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? So, I had to evolve from that. I appreciate everything I learned from them brothers. I learned a lot.
Absolutely.
Words is too cheap to even explain what I learned from them brothers.
Absolutely.
But the thing is the purpose that I have in life is greater than whatever I had going on in that lifestyle.
Absolutely.
There's no way possible that I can execute my purpose in life still being a part of it.
All right, now let me ask you this. You said you had gotten into being a motivational speaker while you were incarcerated, and you said you were still doing some of that now. Now, what part of your incarceration did you start becoming a motivational speaker and steering people away from the lifestyle and into a righteous direction? More righteous than you had been before.
Like I said before, when I had started mentoring and life coaching and stuff like that in prison, originally it was directed towards our members, getting them to get their GEDs, getting them to study their history, getting them to, get a job skill or, things of that nature. While you have time to sit down in prison, you should be using your time constructively, as they say.
Yep.
It started off with that. And then it started off with other gang members of different organizations, young guys that want to be a part of my program, which was called Recidivism Prevention, the Point of No Return. And the gist behind my program was that there's a cure for everything, and that's prevention. So the cure for recidivism is prevention. What are you going to do now while you're incarcerated is what I used to ask these youngsters to make sure you don't come within these prison walls again. But then it spread to just the incarcerated youth in general. So in prison, they would have these different programs that you could enroll into, where they have different seminars or different guest speakers from the streets coming in to speak to you or whatnot. And I always found my way in front of the podium speaking or raising my hand to comment on things that were said in the program or in the seminar or whatnot. And it just got to the point where people wanted to hear what I had to say because I lived what I was talking about. And I still live that to this day. When I first got out of prison, August 24th, the last year, every Sunday I would go to a different church and share my story. Or I'll be out in public somewhere and strike up a conversation with somebody and have a meaningful conversation. It just happens so organically. And what people don't realize is that when you align yourself up with your purpose, that executing that purpose become easy because it's a part of who you are. It's a part of your self identity. So what I've been doing since I've been out is I've been doing the same thing. Now I'm trying to find a way to where, I can work and do what I'm doing. A way to, generate some kind of revenue in doing what I'm doing and using that same revenue to help people.
Absolutely.
It's not about getting rich. It's not about having a big house, a nice car or clothes or anything like that. Listen, in order for you to be able to help people in this world, it takes money to do that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that it takes money.
It takes networking. So now, even though, I have a job, I'm trying to transition into a different job. My ultimate goal is to be able to work for myself as a motivational speaker, self-defense instructor, and I'm about to have my book published as well.
Right. Now tell me a little bit about the self-defense instructor that you're going for, trying to set up.
When I was incarcerated, I was a part of a group of men called the House of Wu. And my teacher, two of my teachers, one was named Anthony Smith. May he rest in power. He ended up passing away some years ago due to some medical issues. That was my number one teacher. And then I had another teacher named Josiah Jones III, who we called Kashido. And I trained with these guys in martial arts, but it was just more than just martial arts. It was about life in general. And I took what I learned from them and created my own program. And a part of my program, the discipline aspect of it was martial arts. I was teaching self-defense, martial arts in prison. Just as a way to introduce discipline to those youngsters in prison because they wild. I was too when I first got incarcerated, so I'm not judging anybody. It's just that those youngsters that are getting incarcerated are coming from broken homes. So the next best thing for them coming in prison is to be attached to somebody who, even though while incarcerated, has decided to change their life for the better. I done done what they already trying to do, so I'm the best person they listen to.
Right, and somebody to teach self-discipline. Self-discipline is the most important part of any martial arts, is self-discipline. And it's a hard thing to acquire. And coming into the prison scene, it's wild, especially if they got a long time. They're going to a big place, and it's wild. It's wild, and they want to follow the stuff that looks fun that's gonna send them to max out their time and do whatever. So I mean, that's great, catching them as soon as they come in, doing the self-discipline. Are you still working with that now with troubled kids on the streets and whatnot?
I'm in the process of trying to get into that field. I'm trying to get into that field. I'm networking with different people and try to get involved with the youth and here in Fort Wayne, Allen County, Fort Wayne. That's one of my goals. Also, another one of my goals is to start self-defense classes or whatnot, And the reason why that's a big thing in prison is because violence is already a staple of prison culture.
Flat out.
But self-defense is not considered violence. The highest level of self-defense is to be able to outthink people, not putting your hands on somebody. So if I can get ones to have the discipline to think about what they're going to do before they do it, the battle is already won. Outthinking somebody requires way more skill than punching somebody, kicking somebody, stabbing somebody, or choking somebody. It takes no skill to do that unless you are a UFC fighter.
Right.
But in prison, I use that because it's something they're already used to, violence. But what I'm doing is I'm taking violence and I'm teaching them how to use it in a responsible way.
Right.
Out of a sense of justice, not out of anger. And in prison, it's hard to allow yourself to be held hostage to your own anger. You're already incarcerated away from your family.
Yep. And
then you have to deal with different individuals that you are incarcerated with, along with the administration that's governing you. So it's a lot going on. And in order for you to be able to elevate in a hostile environment like that, discipline is one thing that you have to have. They say discipline comes from being discipled to a person or a cause. The cause and the person is one thing. You Change starts with you. It starts with your mindset. And I just wanted to take the things that I've learned in prison and share them with others who was in prison with me. Because like I always say, once you acquire knowledge, apply it to yourself and benefit from it, that knowledge don't belong to you no more. It belongs to the next person who is right and ready to receive it.
Okay, and see, that's why I always say rehabilitation is within one's mind. It's not the prison doesn't rehabilitate you. You have to rehabilitate yourself. You're just put somewhere to do that. But this is going to be totally off the subject. We know a lot of guys that have been in prison for 30, 40 years in a cell alone, right? What do you think about what they're doing, closing Indiana State Prison and combining them with the Westville inmates?
Well, they're doing that because of a structured issue dealing with ISP.
Yeah,
that prison is very old. It's falling apart.
Construction started in 1860 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And I think one of the towers collapsed or something like that. Before I got released last year, they was talking about that, and that's the reason why they're doing that. Now, the thing about it is, with merging two prisons like that, what you have to realize is the cultures that are going to be merged.
Absolutely.
Because one prison can be laid back, another one can be rowdy. So who knows what's going to happen when that happens?
And
I don't know.
Them guys that have been laid back for 30, 40 years going into a rowdy place might change elements dramatically. But back into our story. Wait, what's that? I want to hear what you had to say.
No, well, even still though, bro, those three rules apply. Mind your own business, respect everybody, and speak when spoken to.
Absolutely.
It don't matter what prisons they merge together. If you abide by them three rules, about 90% of the time, we should have no problem.
Yeah, you're right.
The reason why people are feeling those three rules is because they're so universal. They don't just apply to gang culture, bro. Those apply to life.
Yes.
In general. It don't matter who you are, what your ethnicity is, what your culture is, what your political persuasion is. Those three rules reign, bro. Period.
Absolutely. Now, you said you're writing a book, or you're working on becoming an author. Now, can you tell the audience a little bit about that?
Well, I wrote a book. It's really a two-part book. When I was incarcerated, I met a guy named Benjamin Miles Wood. I wrote this guy. He was working at a book program in Indiana, in Bloomington, Indiana, and they have these different programs in prison where you can write different places and get free books. In Bloomington, Boxcar Books in Bloomington is one of those places where you could write for free books. And I wrote then, and I asked him for a martial art philosophy book, because at that particular time, you were not allowed to have martial art books that had physical martial art techniques demonstrated in them. So I asked him for a martial art philosophy book, and he wrote back and told me that, well, I've never got that request before, but this is the best thing that I could come up with for you. And he introduced himself. He complimented on how nice, I was able to articulate myself in my letters or whatnot. And I really didn't want to open it at first. I didn't even know who it was. So I read the letter, set it down, wrote him back. Months later, I didn't hear nothing. A couple more months passed, I get a letter from some guy named Ben Wood, and I'm going through my phone book trying to figure out if I know this guy. I didn't find nothing that would identify me knowing him, so I just read the letter, come to find out he was cleaning out he was in college at the time, he was cleaning out his college dorm and found my letter. And me and him became best friends, good friends. And he's the reason why I have my story on Facebook under Free Demetrius White. And he's also the reason why I have a petition on change.org for people to sign for me to get exonerated. Ben Wood is the guy that's responsible for that. And I've been knowing him over 13 years now. Now, to get to you why I wrote this book is because me and him was having a conversation, and he said, bro, man, you are too intelligent to be locked up. How can you go through this environment as hostile as it is and still be able to articulate and live a principle-centered life? And what I did was I started journaling about it, and it ended up being a book. I turned it into a book on all principles that I used to use to survive in there and live righteous even while in there. And I can't tell you the name of the book because it's not copywritten yet. It's about to be copywritten sometime either this week or next week, but I will tell you what it's about. The new paradigm, well, I'll tell you what it is. It's called a new paradigm for success. Right? And the new paradigm for success is this, is when you make the right choices for the right reasons at the right time, it's always going to equal success. Now, me saying that, it sounds simple, but let me explain it in detail for you, give you a little bit more clarity, if I may.
Please do.
Making the right choices for the right reasons at the right time. You can make the right choices even for the right reasons, but if your timing is off, it won't equal success. You can have the right intentions, the right reasons, and you could have the right timing, but if you make the wrong choices in life, it's not going to equal success. Your timing can be right, and you can make the right choices, but if the reasons for your choices or the intentions of your heart are wrong or impure, it's not going to equal success. So all three of them must be in harmony for it to equal success. Matter of fact, this paradigm is so powerful that you ain't even got to worry about the right timing. If you make the right choices for the right reasons, God, however you choose to identify your higher power, will make sure that the universe will synchronize itself to create the right situation for you.
Okay.
And the right time to make the right choices for the right reasons has always been and will forever be right now. There's no other time better to make the right choice for the right reasons than now. And that's the paradigm I used the last 15 years of my incarceration to live right, even while in there. And I wrote a book about it.
Oh, I can't wait to read that book. I can't wait to read it. And I'm definitely looking forward to meeting you. Like you know, I got a new vehicle here, and we should definitely get together soon. Fort Wayne ain't nothing but an hour and a half away from here, so. But Demetrius, I thank you again. I hear you got a YouTube channel now. What's the name of your YouTube?
Well, NAK TV with Demetrius White, Nonfiction Knowledge TV with Demetrius White. But I haven't posted too much content on there because I'm still learning how to post my content, videos, or whatnot. But my YouTube channel is coming near you. You best believe that.
Right. Well, I can always attach it to the video so people can get over there and start seeing what you're starting to do. Everybody knows that you're learning. I mean, and it's not an easy curve to learn, especially anybody that's created any YouTube content whatsoever. It's not an easy game to get into. So, but I thank you for your time, and I am looking forward to talking to you very soon again. What was that you were going to say?
Before I go, man, I just want to thank a few people, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
First of all, I would like to thank, Ben Wood and his wife, Carly. If it wasn't for them, my story wouldn't be on change.org. If it was for them, my story wouldn't be on Free Demetrius White on Facebook. I also like to give honors and thank my comrade, Leon Benson.
Okay.
If it wasn't for him, I would have never wrote my life story out for Ben and his wife to post it on Facebook and change.org. He's another guy that has been exonerated, Leon Benson.
Okay.
I also would like to thank my daughter too, because she's my number one inspiration. I also want to thank my sister, Velvet White. She was my number one supporter and support system while I was incarcerated, among other people, to say, because I got a long list of people. I also would like to, thank my mother who passed away in 2013, September 2013, and that, I love her and I miss her. And I'm living my life out here because I'm her afterlife. Just like my OGs in prison, I'm out here living for them. I'm living for my mother as well. And I would like to thank all my family and friends who have helped me since I've been out of here. My aunt and uncle Steve and Joe, I thank them as well. They supported me since I've been out here as well. So I have a lot of people that supports me. And last but not least, in no way, shape, form, or fashion, I would like to thank my woman, the love of my life, Dina Yancey. A beautiful woman, a supportive woman, and I just thank her for being in my life. I'm thankful that God sent her in my life, and, just like my daughter, she's another important woman in my life, very much so, and I'm so proud of my daughter. She's a hardworking woman, and I just can't imagine what she's been through while I was incarcerated, all the things she had to deal with.
Right.
So I want to thank you. I thank you. I thank Corey. I thank Chad Marks, all these different people. I just want to just show my gratitude towards everybody.
All right, and I will I'll try to figure out how to attach your exoneration thing to the description of the video, and the Free Demetrius White Facebook, but at least the exoneration petition. That will be. Yeah, I will. I know how to attach that one to my description. I can surely do that. But thank you so much, Demetrius.
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. I will talk at you later, man. Nate G 219 and Demetrius White. We're out of here. All right. I hope y'all liked that video. And yeah, man's doing a lot, man. For 25 years. For a crime he has not committed, he's doing an awful lot. It's such a sad thing. But I'm going to attach that petition for his exoneration in the description of the video. And also part 1 will be tagged into the video as well. And you guys never forget life's choices. But hit that like, hit that subscribe, donate to that channel if you'd like to help, and never forget, if they ain't hating it, you ain't making it.